You know that whistle you hear at the end of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay? Well, that's not originally what we're supposed to hear on that song. It was recorded between November 22nd and December 8th of 1967. Otis Redding had stopped in the studio on that Friday, December the 8th, to check on progress of the song before heading out for a busy weekend of performing. Actually, the first take of the whistle was so bad, it prompted recording engineer Ron Capone to joke at the soul singer that his ability was lacking, but on the second take, he laid down something good enough to get by until he could return on Monday with some lyrics. Otis Redding and his band the Bar-Kays, well, everyone except for bassist James Alexander, boarded Redding's private Beechcraft H-18 around 1 a.m. on the 9th from Memphis to Cleveland. In Cleveland, Otis and the band performed on a TV show called Upbeat, where they played Try a Little Tenderness, and afterwards they would play their final 3 performances at the no longer existent Leo's Casino. The morning of December 10th arrived, and it was cold, rainy, foggy, and there was warnings not to fly. But Otis Redding was never going to no-show a gig. After a phone call with his wife, Otis Redding boarded his plane with valet Matthew Kelly, 17, tenor saxophone Phelan Jones, 19, trumpet Ben Cauley, 20, lead guitarist Jimmy King, organist Ronnie Caldwell, and drummer Carl Cunningham, all 18 years old. The Beechcraft, piloted by Richard Frazier, departed around 12:30 on that Sunday, December 10th, from Cleveland to land at Truax in Madison, Wisconsin. Otis was sitting in the co-pilot seat with his headphones on. Most of the band was trying to get some rest due to the hectic schedule, but Phelan Jones was looking out the window. And when he realized how close he was to the water, he exclaimed, "Oh my God," loud enough to wake Ben Cauley. Sick with disorientation from the spinning plane, he doesn't remember why, but Ben Cauley reached down and unbuckled his seatbelt just moments before the plane struck the water. A moment later, frantically holding on to his seat cushion, freezing cold and horrified, Ben Cauley could hear his bandmates crying for help, but as a non-swimmer, there was absolutely nothing he could do. Ben Cauley would be the only survivor. The plane struck Lake Monona around 3:25 that Sunday afternoon, about 3 miles away from the landing point. Coroner Clyde Chamberlain Jr. would say that Otis Redding and the Bar-Kays' causes of death were a combination of blunt force trauma and drowning. Otis Redding's body was recovered from 35 feet of water. He was still buckled into his chair and wearing his co-pilot headphones. The National Transportation Safety Board lists the cause of the accident as undetermined. However, there are several speculations as to what happened. Ben Cauley remembers that the mechanic in Cleveland says the power system was low due to how cold it was. Other people think that Otis was trying to fly the plane and couldn't make sense of the instruments in the fog. An eyewitness claims that it sounded like the plane was losing power just before it struck the lake, where it floated for 3 to 5 minutes before sinking into the freezing water. Let me know what you think in the comments. What happened? When the news made it back to Otis Redding's songwriting partner, Steve Cropper, he locked himself in the studio for 24 hours and mixed the version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay as we hear it now. This would become the biggest posthumously released recording in music history. Otis Redding had a public funeral in Macon, Georgia on December 18th, 1967, where nearly 5,000 people were in attendance. If you're interested in cemetery tourism, he is buried on his family's private estate, but they do host public events if you're interested. He was 26 years old. The fallen Bar-Kays are buried at the New Park Cemetery in Memphis, Tennessee. So, when you hear that whistle at the end of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, remember, time waits for no man.